Welcome. Drink with James, episode 50. Is that how we do it, you think? 50. Episode 50. Honestly, if you had asked me a little over a year ago, did I think that, on May, what's today, Tim? The 11th?
Yeah.
May 11th, so this is publishing some other time, doesn't matter what the day is, that we would be filming episode 50 of Drink with James, and you guys have watched, I don't know, nearly 100 days of this. We're up to like 11,000 minutes a week. People are watching Drink with James. I am totally blown away by the response that we've had so far. You guys are giving me the ability to drink during the day in an office and just talk. And I thank you all for watching, and I thank you for your questions, which Tim will make me say, please send in your questions. We need more questions. But again, if it wasn't for you guys, it would just be my mom watching the show. So I really appreciate it. And I am going to be better this year. Okay, moving forward, I'm gonna be in the comments more. I didn't even really have a YouTube login for a while. I've created one. I'm gonna get in your comments, answer some questions. Tim generally takes care of it, but I'll be doing more of that as well. So if you have questions on a specific episode, you want me to clarify something, just ask in the comments, and I'll slide in there and answer them. Likely after Tim reminds me 3 times to do so. But seriously, thank you so much for watching. Favorite thing, obviously it's Meadowwood. I think just because it was fucking awesome. Personally, that was awesome. That was like my favorite kind of cool little experience that came out of Drink with James, just selfishly. Honestly, my favorite thing is that most times when I meet an influencer I haven't met, they mention Drink with James, they say how helpful it's been, they say that, we had someone the other day that was like, I took your advice from the show, I did it and it worked, thank you so much. Like, those things are so cool. I walk into meetings at top luxury brands and the PR director is like, oh, I love that show you're doing where you drink. So that's been awesome. And being able to help you guys and offer some advice and hopefully some guidance has definitely been the most fulfilling part. Being able to order endless room service at Meadowwood and eat at a 3-star Michelin restaurant has maybe been my favorite part. I'm sorry, I just have to be honest. I'm looking forward to just going bigger, obviously. I think we could do a better job with guests in their frequency and diversity. So also helps for you guys to throw that down here, comment who you think we should talk to. Are there bloggers that you really look up to that you want on Drink with James? Are there, I don't know, past Bachelor or Bachelorette contestants you want me to talk to? I don't know, we'll try. We'll try and get whoever. You guys know I want to talk to The Rock. That the whole point of this show, if you've been watching it from the beginning, is that I want The Rock on the show because I think he is, he's just The Rock, and I think that he's an inspirational guy, and I think he would be great on the show. And so that is the end goal of the entire show and my life, is to be able to sit down with him and have him on the show. He's a tequila drinker, so we'd have to switch it up for that. But I would, because his bicep is literally bigger than my entire body. So. Absolutely. Okay, so first of all, let me just talk about the way we do things. So, Fohr Card has a few different sides of the business. One, we have a subscription platform, like your profiles. There's now nearly 17,000 of you in the directory, and we have hundreds of clients that pay us a decent amount of money every year to be able to say, I'm looking for fashion bloggers in New York with a big Instagram following, and they find your profile. So it is possible you're getting jobs or invites to things or opportunities through Fohr Card that you don't know are through Fohr Card, because we don't manage those relationships. We just let brands go crazy. So you probably are already getting benefit from Fohr Card, you just don't know it yet. Sometimes influencers will come up to me and say, I haven't gotten anything from Fohr Card yet. And I'll be like, cool, tell me about the last few like jobs you've done. And they'll be like, I worked with this brand. I'll be like, that's our client. And they'll be like, and this brand. I'll be like, that's our client. So a lot of times you're getting jobs or opportunities from Fohr Card. You just don't know they're coming from Fohr Card. The other thing is that we have paid campaigns. So, we run large-scale paid campaigns across all platforms for brands. Generally, we're paying people with over 50,000. That's kind of where we start to look on our larger paid campaigns. And then under 50,000, we have a lot of gifting campaigns. I'm sure a lot of you have been involved in them. And if you haven't been involved in them, potentially you've seen an offer come through for one of them. So, we get a lot more demand for these campaigns than we actually sell. We have a pretty tight set of guidelines that we use to do that. So one of them is that we want to make sure that the thing that's being gifted is actually worth something. So our minimum value of the product is $250 for those campaigns, and it's usually more between $300 or $500. So we feel like they're really cool brands with product that is worth a decent amount of money, and we try and make sure that the product is worth the amount of money that it would be if you were paid for the post. So that's just general how this business works. If you want to work more with Fohr Card, on the paid side, you're above 50K, we get enough of these campaigns coming through, we're probably going to find you if you make sense for the brand. So just keep doing you. If you're under 50K or you're over 50K and you want to be involved in our gifting campaigns and you haven't been yet, I think one really easy thing to do would be email Stephanie on our team, and Tim will put her email up over here. But email Stephanie and let her know that you'd like to be involved in gifting campaigns. Maybe send through an example of brand work that you've done, so she can kind of get a sense of what your content looks like and what clients you would be good for, because we are constantly doing these campaigns and we always need new talent. For us, it's a proving ground for our paid campaigns a lot of times, is that if you can do a really good job in these gifting campaigns, a lot of times that will turn into paid relationships down the road. And that is a place we look to kind of graduate people out of. You start with our gifting campaigns and we graduate you into our paid campaigns. So if you have done a few gifting campaigns with us or with somebody else, but like specifically with us and you want to move into our paid campaigns, honestly for us, it is a lot of times it's just a reach thing, and we just need that bigger reach on our paid campaigns to be able to fold you in. And I think what I want to touch on here is that y'all have the opportunity to fundamentally change the course of your life through this, right? If you're sitting at 35,000 followers right now and you're trying to grow this thing, if you can get your following up to 100, 150, certainly 200,000, the course of your life will be changed dramatically. And I really think that that is what you need to be focusing on in the long term and in the short term. I want you guys to make money, and I want you to negotiate, and I want you to do all these things, but you need to focus on that long term and realize that the goal isn't necessarily getting $100 on this post or $200 on that post, but getting that account up to the 100, 150, 200K, where again, your life will be, at least in the short term, changed quite dramatically. And I think we'll have broad, sweeping repercussions across the course of your life. Look, I'm only sitting in this conference room because I had a Tumblr that had a big following. If I didn't start that Tumblr, which I made no money on for 6 years maybe of doing it, I didn't make a cent off of it. It was a different time, it was earlier, there was less paid work coming through, but if I didn't build that following and have that Tumblr, I wouldn't have started this company, I wouldn't have met my business partner. There's so many things in my life I wouldn't be doing if I was too focused on that short term and trying to capitalize on, it's like you're trying to capitalize on this thing that is interesting but it's small, when you should be thinking about getting to that thing that's bigger and then capitalizing. So I think The thing that you can do no matter your following size, well, I say this, I think you probably need to get to about 10K to be seen as a proper influencer. I think what you can do from a small level though, from the get-go, is just relationship building. You know, I mean, you can always start to build those relationships, and maybe you can't get connections yet at the brands that you really want to work with. Maybe you can't be going out to drinks with the the PR team from J. Crew or Marchesa when you come into town in New York, but you can start to build relationships with brands, and you can start to practice that, and you can start to cultivate that and start to do brand work and all these types of things. And I think all of it starts with just a concentration on building relationships. You know, when we were building out our sales team, I used to send Emma and Grace, who were some of our first employees, I used to send them to events, and I'd say, okay, don't come back with less than 10 business cards each. You know, because they could go to that party and they could drink a couple glasses of champagne and eat the past hors d'oeuvres and then go home, or they could go to that party and hustle and meet as many people as they could. And when they were getting a foothold in New York, they moved from Australia, they didn't know a single person. And when they came here, they needed to build a network, and they just started, networking, you know, and meeting people and building relationships and going to drinks and going to breakfasts and, you know, going to yoga with people and getting their nails done and all these types of things. And the fruits of that have paid off massively for Fohr Card and for them personally over the last few years. So it's never too early to start to build relationships, and it is never not worth your time. So other than that, you know, last week I was in London and Paris. I don't know if you guys saw that. My Insta stories were awesome. But I was speaking to this company, Value Retail. They run a bunch of massive shopping villages around Europe. Anyway, I was speaking at their digital conference, and I had a chance to interview Park & Cube, a great influencer out of London. And she said that after any campaign, she insists on a post-mortem call with the brand. So she gets on the phone with them, talks about the campaign that just happened, what went right, what went wrong, what could they do better in the future. I'd never heard that before. It's something that we do on our campaigns at Fohr Card, but I've never heard of an influencer doing it. I thought it was just super smart, you know, because it establishes you as a professional, one. Two, you get feedback right after the campaign from the brand about maybe what they did or did not like. Three, you set yourself up for the next campaign. Okay, in the future, you know, you start, what I tell the salespeople all the time, assuming the sale. Okay, so the next time we work together, how do you think this could be better? You know? Okay, so, you know, whenever you do your next thing, this. So it gives you a chance to start to position yourself for the next campaign, which I think is really important. So that was super smart. Thank you, Park & Cube. If you don't know her, follow her over here. She's great. So what do you do if a brand reaches out and they say, hey, I'm going to give you $50 to post this thing, and you have 50,000 followers, and you're almost offended, right? But maybe you are offended. First of all, you know, like we always say, you go back, and if they send out an offer that is way too low, let me just start by saying, like, always be nice. It doesn't matter if people are mean to you, if they say rude things. I just think you should, you know, bite your tongue, tell your friends over drinks about what you wanted to say to them, but be nice, especially in email. Okay, like, again, in Fohr Card, I don't let our employees say potentially disruptive things to clients or influencers over email. You do it over the phone. Email, tone gets lost, all of these things get lost. So if somebody is being rude to you, be really nice to them. Say, so sorry, $50 isn't enough, my normal rate is $500, let me know if that works. And if they respond again and they're rude, and I've heard of this happening, like, oh, well, you should be happy. We're a growing brand. We're going to put you on our Instagram. There's going to be exposure, you know, whatever. I know you want to respond by being like, this is my job. How dare you? I've been building this business for years, and, you know, I have 50,000 people to follow me, and that's bigger than the biggest baseball stadium in the country, and, like, I wouldn't take $50 ever, blah, 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 etc. Right? That's what you want to say. What you should say is just, so sorry this isn't going to work out. Let me know if you have more budget in the future, best. Because you don't know, first of all, maybe that person wasn't meaning to be rude, and you just don't know where they're going to go next. You know, they could be working at a detox tea brand right now, but then in 2 years they could be working at a brand that is your best client. You know, so like you could work with, you know, Madewell, and you always work with them and you have an amazing relationship. And then all of a sudden, this person who you were rude to 2 years ago over email, and you told them to fuck off because they sent you an offer that you felt wasn't fair. Now they take over as your contact's boss at Madewell, okay? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? Remember me? Cool, yeah, you're not working with Madewell anymore, bye. That, not only can that happen, that 100% does happen. In this industry, people move around so much and so quickly that you just have to be nice to everybody. Say, so sorry that it's not gonna work out, hope it can work out in the future, cheers, bye, end it. And then go pound red wine and tell your friends what you really wanted to say. Because it's fun. Honestly, look, it is fun to respond to hate. Now, I'll extend this conversation to people that say hurtful things to you on the comments, on your posts. I see this happening all the time. Like, I get the desire to get into fights with people and to put them in their place. I just don't think it's worth your time because you just sink to their level and you don't end up looking good. I used to do this all the time on my Tumblr. You can go back and I'm sure and find instances of people asking me rude questions on Tumblr and me just eviscerating them. But it didn't do any good. You know, it made me feel good. I got to like flex my intellectual strength and show how much smarter I was and like use a bunch of big words and like put this person in this place. But like, but for what, you know? And I remember one day my little brother was just like, what are you doing? Like, just ignore it. It's not worth it and it makes you look petty because you're getting so worked up. I think we kind of touched on this before, but Chrissy Teigen, she does a great job with this of like, she burns people sometimes, but like generally she doesn't seem to really give a shit about people insulting her. And I think that's so much more powerful than getting hot under the collar and fighting back a lot of times. Look, that's it. It's a reasonable time. It's, you know, 5:45. So I'm not drunk at 2 in the afternoon, which is a nice change. So again, thank you for joining us for 50 of these, and God knows how old I'll look on the 100th episode, but it's something for all of us to look forward to. Cheers.